Hi, how are we doing today, Khloe?
I'm good. How are you?
Oh, I'm fantastic. Can't complain on my end. So great for you having us. Great for you joining us today. It's so great to have you with us. And yeah, I look forward to knowing more about you. So without further ado, let's just start it off light. If you could just tell me just a little bit about yourself. Who are you? Just a little bit about your background, kind of leading up to now. Just give us the hot points.
Yeah, so hi, I'm Khloe Thompson. I'm 14 years old. And like you explained, I have my own nonprofit organization called Khloe Kares, where I support the homeless community and I help kids become change makers, and I install water pumps and bathroom facilities in schools that don't have access to clean water in Ghana.
Right on. So could you tell us a bit more about Khloe Kares? Tell us about the early days at 8 years old, nonetheless. Like, what was that process like early on? And what was the inspiration?
Yeah, so when I first started Khloe Cares when I was 8 years old, I started it because I would pass the same homeless woman on my way to school, and I would just ask my mom how she was out there, and she would tell me some reasons, and I just started to feel really bad for her. And at the time, my grandma, she was teaching me how to sew tote-like bags and shoulder bags, and so I told her that I wanted to do something to help this woman. And so we started going back and forth on different ideas, and we ended up coming up with the idea of, like I said, creating the tote bags and filling them with bare necessity items such as soap, deodorant, toothbrushes, toothpaste. And we made about 25 bags, and we started passing them out.
25. So how were you handing them out during those early days? Was it just whoever you saw you would give, or was it mainly the homeless people you knew personally, just on your day to day?
At first, it did start with me just keeping bags in the car. And if we saw someone while we were driving, we would pass them out. Or even like, because by my old school, like when I was still in school, like, I'm still in school, I'm just homeschooled, but like when I was in actual, like regular school, um, there was like a homeless encampment near my school. And a lot of times they only had it open in the winter. And so that was like around the time when I like kind of realized everything that was happening. And so that's where I started passing them out. And then this is still like earlier days. Then I started learning about LA and Skid Row and that big homeless population there. And so then I started passing out bags there, and now I continue to do that.
Now that's incredible because I feel like when most people are exposed to this other side of just human experience that they might not ever associate themselves with, a lot sort of feel the immediate reaction to just turn away from it, to kind of just overlook it. But you,
Yeah.
on the other hand, you decided you're going to stare it down head on, heck. So that
Yeah.
is, yeah, what do you think? What what was the thought process there? Like why were you like I have to do something? What inspired you to become the change that you wanted to see?
I guess it was more so the fact of just knowing all the people I could help, and also just knowing their situation, um, and even like the idea of just doing something for someone else. That's just so you're having a bad day, and then having some sort of thing happen to you is always makes your day brighter and better, and that's really what I want to do with people, is make their day brighter and better by giving them some bare necessities, because I feel like everyone should have the option to have these necessities. And so that's what I do. And I do it because I want to make sure that everybody has those necessities. And that was kind of like the thought process, was because like, it was like, kind of like at first I was only gonna like pass them out to like the 25 bags that I had, and then I was gonna be done. But then I realized like the smiles you can put on someone's face and what you can do for someone, like I was saying. So I think that was really like the thought process behind it, was like thinking of like the different smiles and things that you can do for someone.
And what a pure answer. Just the smiles on people's faces. Like why can't that be enough to inspire us to do about change? Like that's incredible. So, other than the care packages, could you describe some of the other things that your organization does? Like, You do community fridges, for instance, some outreach events. Could you describe those?
Yeah, so my organization, during the pandemic, I wanted to find something that I could do, especially towards like the middle slash kind of end of it. I started, well, actually, the LA Community Fridge reached out to me and asked if I would like to start filling their fridges, and it had been something that I've been wanting to do for a while because I had saw them uh, happening and popping up throughout the pandemic as well. And so pretty much I just wanted to do something with them and kind of fill a fridge. And so I started doing it every Sunday. And so now that things are kind of opening up more, it's kind of slowed down with filling the fridge. Um, but pretty much, yeah, I wanted to find something to do in the pandemic. And for those who do not know what a community fridge is, it's pretty much someone can fill it up with foods for people in the community. And it doesn't just have to be for someone who's experiencing homelessness. It's a community fridge. It's for everyone in the community, whether it's for the person in the apartment building or someone in the people experiencing homelessness in the campers down the street. So it really just doesn't matter who it's for. It's for everyone to make sure that they have a meal. So that's the whole purpose of community fridges, is to make sure that everyone has some sort of meal. So that's why also like food insecurity and things like that have always been something really important to me, and trying to end food insecurity. So this also is something really close to my heart. And other things that I do other than the care bags is, like I said before, I teach leadership workshops so kids can start their own businesses and become change makers, because I feel as if all kids should have the same opportunities as I had to start their own businesses. And I install water pumps in Ghana because I feel as if kids also should have the right, and I feel like anybody should have the right to clean water and the access to it, because I think it's just a human right.
It is. It is indeed so important. But if you could let's go back a little bit. I like hearing about the organization, but I want to hear more about your upbringing, about the people around you who might have inspired you or elicited you to pursue this path down just community outreach. Like, what were some of your inspirations?
Um, I like to tell people this, like my grandpa, I call him my papa, but he told me ever since that I was a baby that I had a kind heart. And so that's something that I guess I've always just been told as I've gotten older. Um, and same thing as when I was like in kindergarten. I used to give my lunch to kids that didn't have lunch because I thought everyone should be able to have something to eat during lunchtime. And so then I would always come home hungry, telling my mom I didn't eat lunch, and she goes like, "I packed you a whole thing of lunch. Why, how come you didn't eat anything?" And I told her why, and I just feel like I've always had that thing going on with me, and wanting to help others. But also my parents have always just been super supportive of every idea that I've had. So I think also just having my parents there, who every time I said a crazy idea, they're like, okay, cool. If you really want to do it, then let's do it. You know what I mean? And so like, that's something that has always been my upbringing, and just a very supportive family of everything that I've wanted to do. So I feel like that's pretty much like kind of what really helped me continue what I'm doing. So yeah, I feel like it was mostly that too.
Family is important. And it's funny you said you called your grandpa Papa. I call my grandpa Papa too. So just that little thing, I was like, oh. But yeah, giving your own lunch in kindergarten, no, where everybody's like, mine, this is mine. You're out here handing out your sliced apples, your goldfish crackers to kids who don't have them. That's incredible.
Thank you.
All right, so well, you're young. How do you find time to still be young? How do you find time to be a teenager? Do you ever feel like you're growing up beyond your age, or how do you how do you ground yourself in the current age that you're at?
Um, I feel as if I just kind of make time sometimes, especially like when it comes to hanging out with my friends and just being a teenager. Um, But I do feel as if I am kind of growing up, like, with what I do. I grow up a little faster. But, I feel as if, like, my mom says I have an on and on switch. So, like, I'm able to switch from being Khloe Kares to being Khloe. So, like, I feel as if I have the ability to kind of, like, change the way that I talk to people and kind of, like, just really I have like two different sides to me, so like it just really just depends on like who I'm around and who I'm talking to. That like I might be Khloe or I might be Khloe Kares. So I think sometimes you just have to have that off and on switch, and that's what I just have. But yeah, but also I just like I said, I make time, and luckily with like my school schedule, since I'm homeschooled, it's a lot easier to make time since it's a lot more flexible. Um, and then also since things are on Zoom, a lot of times I can do a lot of calls on my phone. So like it's a lot easier that way too. So like it just really depends on the situation as well. So
That's a mature answer. You make time. That's key. It's balance. It's a mature, because I know I'm that age. I was nowhere near there. I was kind of just all scrambled around the place. I didn't have the on and off switch. It was on or off, like no two. But no, it's good having that sense of structure. I mean, it's obvious in just what you do and how you carry yourself. But
thank you. I appreciate it.
all right, so we're at the midpoint of the interview, which is when I'm gonna get serious for a second. Talk to me about this. There's this little thing going on right now. I don't know if you heard of it. COVID-19. it's impacted pretty much everyone, everything, and I know it's impacted you as well. Could you, just give us some insight on around that February, March, April period of last year when it was all kind of starting to go off? Like, how did you personally respond to it, and then how did Khloe Kares react to it?
Me personally, it was really weird. Well, I was already homeschooled at the time, and so like I was used to the whole being at home all the time thing. Like that didn't really bother me, but it was really weird when like everybody else in my family was home too, because like I have a little sister and she was in person. She's back in person now at school, but she was in person school and it was like the middle of kindergarten for her. So like it was like the first like school experience that she had, and then it got cut off, and then she went into Zoom, and then through first grade she was in Zoom. And so it was kind of like weird for that. And then my mom, she's a hairstylist, so like she was also home because you have to be in person to do hair. And she also was like, she's not going to be like those people that are on Zoom calls and like, okay, so do this and do that. Like she didn't want to mess up anybody's hair like that. And then my dad, he does business analytics for a medical company, and so you also have to be at home for that. But luckily his work, he can do at home, but he had to be in person normally for his job. So like I said, it was really weird having everyone home, because a lot of times it was just like either like me or my mom, or like just me at home sometimes, like so it was like I said, it was just weird having everyone around. But when it came to Khloe Kares, it was like a meteor like that kind of hit us, because we didn't really know what to do, because everything that we did was in person. We went to Ghana, we traveled, we did speaking engagements in different cities, we did our care bag days, we handed out care bags to people. So like we didn't really know what to do, and for a couple months we were kind of freaking out because we didn't know what to do, because this was something new. And then also our family was still adjusting, so it was kind of like we were trying to adjust in both sides. So Khloe Kares was kind of stopped for a little bit because of everything that was going on. And then we ended up coming up with the idea of starting to make masks. Well, actually, we didn't come up with the idea. My grandma started making masks for us, and my grandma just wanted something to do. She loves sewing, but she wanted to find something that would actually be like useful to sew, because she's always making herself clothes or something. So she wanted to find something that like she can make and that she can do, that'll be helpful. So she sent us some masks, because my grandma was very much, okay, stay over there, do not come to my house. So she shipped us masks to our house. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is awesome. You should make more of these. She goes, oh, no, I'm just going to make them for myself. And I was like, so is it okay if we make them, Grandma? She goes, oh yeah, of course. And so then we started making a bunch of masks. And we started donating them to different people, healthcare workers, essential workers, friends and family, and just people who wanted them. And so, yeah, we started just making tons and tons of masks, and anybody that wanted them, we started donating them. And same thing with homeless shelters and things and such. And that was a lot of fun to do. And then that started dying down, and then we started working, and that's when like Zoom really started to kick in. Like we started doing all our Zoom speaking engagements and Zoom leadership workshops and Zoom presentations and things like that, and everything was Zoom for a while and still is. And then after that, we started doing the community fridges and doing things like that and having more online events. And so that's kind of how the pandemic hit us personally and through Khloe Kares. And I'm sorry, that was kind of like a long answer, but
I
that's
like
what
long,
happened.
I like long answers, but you know, you'll see a lot of organizations, the ones that don't kind of that aren't able to adjust or adapt. They've really been struggling or falling to the wayside. I think the one tell that you'll see within the organizations that are really, you know, at the top doing their thing is that they have been willing to take this limitation, because that's what it is. It's a massive limitation on pretty much every aspect of communications, of engagements, of how we maneuver. And you've taken it and you've seen the ways you can turn it into something where you can make an actual change, where you can adjust, you can address the needs that arise as they've arisen. It's truly telling to how you are just as a leader of this organization, that you saw the things kind of getting tilted out of whack, and you're like, all right, how can we take this and do something with it? How can we make this at least better for some people? So great on you. But yeah, so I know you've written a few books. Could you talk about that a bit? Because I know you've written one just recently over the pandemic, right?
Yes. So I've written 2 books so far, I like to say, because I want to write more. But my first book is Marisol's Helping Hand, and I wrote that one, and it's with collaboration with Callaloo. They also are a book company, and they've created books as well. And that one was probably when I was like 10, maybe I wrote that one.
10.
Um,
Wait, hold up. I think you need to repeat that for the people watching. You got a book published that at what age again?
like 10 or 11, around that age.
About 10 or 11. No, so ballpark. Okay.
And pretty much that book it's an ebook, and it's about this girl Marisol, and she comes to LA to meet her cousin. Pretty much in the midst of their trip, they get lost on Skid Row, and they get kind of scared by all the homeless people. And so I kind of come there and teach them about why people experiencing homelessness shouldn't be scary. And so it's all about teaching kids that maybe people are going through different things, but that doesn't mean that they should be treated differently or they're scary or something. So that's kind of like the point of that book. And then I have my second book, which I published last year. So that one was at 13. But yeah, that was last year, like towards the middle of the pandemic. So like, I think like around maybe like, okay, it's between the 2 A's. It's either April or August, one of those two. One, I think it was April, but like it maybe was August, because I remember it got pushed back because of the pandemic. But pretty much that book is just my story and how I started Khloe Kares, and it's all about just teaching kids, especially girls, pretty much that there's someone out there that's doing something great, and so can you. So that's the point of that book, and that's called The Girl Who Became the Change.
And I appreciate your emphasis on children, which, you know, naturally, I mean, you started this at 8, so naturally getting children involved makes a lot of sense. But just the idea of having a book written about homelessness, about homeless people, because I think it really does start with the youth. The way we change this crisis, it really is with the youth. If we can alter their perspective and have them see these people, as victims of all sorts of circumstance, just normal people like you and me. I think that is what is going to bring about change, which is why I think books that you're writing are undoubtedly important.
Thank you. Thank you. I really appreciate it.
Right. But I did hear that too so far, the little asterisks you added towards the end there. So anything else coming up in the horizon?
I hope to. I really hope to create and write more books. It's really fun to do it, especially like just talking about inspiring kids to want to give back. So yeah, I hope to. Nothing too crazy in the mix right now, but I really do hope to create some more.
All right. So talk to me about some of the events that you've planned or hosted during this pandemic, or like some events that you may have planned upcoming.
Okay, let me think of the events that I planned this pandemic. Okay, so I did 3 rallies. The first one was during after the George Floyd killing, and that was teaching kids, and it was called Black Kids Matter, and it's about teaching kids on pretty much what's going on, and it wasn't bashing anyone or doing anything of those sorts. It's all about teaching kids about what happened in a positive way, so that they're able to be informed when they want to speak up about it. And so I brought together some of like the 6 most influential Black people that I knew, and I brought them on a call, and we started talking about it. And then my second rally, was this my second or third one? I think this was my second rally, and it was about food insecurity. So I brought a bunch of people that I knew that were really informed on it. And same thing, we wanted to talk about and inform kids about food insecurity and what that means and what's it about and what we can do to stop it. And then my last one was on mental health. So during the pandemic, I thought it would be perfect because I knew there was a lot of things during the pandemic that could have been mentally declining, and also a lot of kids that were just struggling with mental health, and pretty much saying that it's okay to talk about it. So that was the whole point of that rally, and I brought in a bunch of kids that I know, especially with this organization called Giving Tuesday. And I started a branch with them called Giving Tuesday Kids, which is now GT Spark. So I had a bunch of our GT Spark come on and pretty much talk about how they're doing in the pandemic, you know, what's going on with your mental health, and talking about the importance of upkeeping your mental health and why it's important to talk about it. Yeah, but those were like the main things that I did in the pandemic. And I had plenty of speaking engagements as well as leadership workshops with kids.
Staying active. So those 3, it was homelessness, it was Black Lives Matter, it was mental health. You're basically getting the 3 main important touchstones of over this past year. You're bringing this to kids, which is incredibly important, because I didn't have anybody talking to me about mental illness back in my age, and I imagine now more than ever having that conversation, you know, sooner rather than later. It's definitely beneficial.
Yeah, right? Most definitely.
All right, so we're nearing the end. So I'm very curious to know what is next for you, Khloe, because you're 14 years old, so you got some living left to do. So do you have like any immediate plans for the future, or
yeah, I feel like I do.
And be like, where you're going to school, you know, just what are your plans for the future? What do you see for yourself?
And I know a lot of people are like, where do you want to go to school? But I have that planned out. Like I have what I want to do when I get older, and I kind of know I want to continue with doing Khloe Kares and creating bags, and inspiring other people to want to give back and help the people around them, and also help the community and the world that we live in, because we only get one, pretty much. So I think that I want to teach people and kids that this is the one place we got, and these are the only people that we got, and we got to help the people that we have, pretty much, because we want to keep this world going. So helping the people that we have and helping the world that we have is what I want to continue to do, and continue to inspire people to learn about and want to work to help everything that's going on around them.
Right on. You know what? Throw one more at you. Is there Is there like a motto or a mantra that you say you go by, or that something that echoes in your head anytime you're going through something tough, anytime you feel like it's getting hard? Is there something that you tell yourself?
Um, I think it's more something, I like to say it's smile money. It's something that I like to say pretty much every time I give a bag and every time a smile gets put on someone's face, that's smile money. So every time it gets hard or anytime I feel like giving up, just think of all the money that you have built up during this time and all this smile money you have built up, because think about how many smiles you've been able to create and how many smiles, how many people you've been able to help. And if you continue on, you continue to get more smile money. And with that, that means more smiles in the world.
Can't forget the value of a smile. But yeah, I guess that would be it as far as my questioning goes. But yeah, you have been amazing, Khloe. Thank you for joining us. And I'd like to thank everybody in the chat who's been supportive, giving out good shout outs. And yeah, no, thank you for joining us. And yeah, is there any plugs you want to throw in? Where can we find your organization, or where can we follow you?
Yeah, so either you can, if you're still watching this live, you can click at the top where it says live and there's a little arrow pointing down and there's my Instagram up there. But I'll also say it out. It is Khloe Kares. So KHLOE KARES.
Any place we can donate?
There's plenty of places. I have plenty of GoFundMes up on my page. If you go to my link tree, it should take you to some of the GoFundMes that I've been having. Or you can just head over to my website. On there, it's the same thing, khloekares.org. And you can find all of my info, more if you want to learn more about me and my story, when I kind of explained it all here. You can head over there. And yeah, it has donation options as well. So if you want to head over there, you can too.
All right. Awesome. You have been outstanding. So great to have you on, and I can't wait to see what you do.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. It's been fun talking with you.
All right. Well, take care, Khloe, and goodbye, everyone else as well.
Thank you. You too.
All right. Bye.
Bye.